Dr. Ashok Dalwai, former Chief Executive Officer, National Rainfed Area Authority. Last but not the least, I would like to request Ms. Sadhana Devi from Uttarakhand, who is one of our prime members of the FAO community and who is at the center of our work when it comes to food and agriculture. And since this will be a bilingual session, so I would request our colleague Parvinder to kindly help us with the translations. Yeah, thank you.
Has to be green. Okay. All right. So welcome to our panelists. Thank you so much for making time and for being here to celebrate the World Food Day together with us. I think, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for setting the scene. I think India really stands out with all the fast-paced progress that the country has made in achieving food security. Before I came here, you know, or during my childhood, of course, India was in the news. When I went to school, you know, you could hear about food insecurity and so on, last in the 70s, 80s. And then the Green Revolution, this fantastic story of the Green Revolution that really turned everything around. But what I noticed also here in India, and after my 20 years career, mainly in sub-Saharan Africa, is a complete different approach to food that I found here in India. Because when you go in most other countries, food is really more of a private good. Right? Like it's something that that belongs to people. That's an individual good, and people make the decision what they eat and so on. And they go to the market, they buy, they produce, and so on. Here in India, agriculture is very much considered a social good and a public good. And agriculture itself is not just a business, it's also a business, but it also appears to be very much a social business in a way. And I found this always very interesting and a privilege to work here in this country, because I think the right to food is very much a topic that fits very well into the Indian context. But I will not bore you very much. I just wanted to maybe give this to start the discussion. But I would like to start with my first question for Mr. Yogesh Suri. What do you see as the main challenges for agriculture, for food production, and let's say for the food system in India? And what do you see as the main, or what would you like to share with us as the main initiatives and policies and guidance that NITI Aayog is providing to tackle these challenges? Over to you, Mr.
Thank you very much, respected Dr. Dalwai, my other co-panelists and distinguished participants from all across UN and other government ministries, FAO, IFAD, and World Food Programme. It's a great honor to be here back. So I've come here a couple of times in the past also, especially when I was looking after Sustainable Development Goals in NITI Aayog. And today also I got this opportunity. I'm thankful to you. This is a very, very pertinent question. Now today, you see, India is one of the largest food producers of the world. And of course, we have the largest population of the world. We have about 340 million tons of food grains every year, another about 360 million tons of horticultural products. Similarly, milk, sugar, cotton, and there are a lot of other products. India is amongst the topmost countries in the world. So green revolution you did mention, but as far as food security policies are concerned, there has been a sea change, especially during the last 10, 15 years with the advent of the National Food Security Act. Before that also, we are having public distribution system, which was there in vogue since 1960s, 70s. But the National Food Security Act actually brought in the matter of right to the people. People can actually claim their right. It's not like a welfare program of the government. It's now made it a constitutional right to for the people of India. I was very much part of Planning Commission when this act was being formulated. I joined Planning Commission in 2010 and 2011, 12, 13. These were 2-3 years where a lot of work was being done for the National Food Security Act. Originally, government did plan to provide food security to almost 90% people in the rural areas and about 75% people in the urban areas. But that was something which would have been fiscally unsustainable. And after a lot of discussions between the then Planning Commission Deputy Chairman and the Honorable Prime Minister and the members of the National Advisory Council, we scaled it down marginally to 75% people in rural areas and about 50% people in urban areas. So that still covers about 810 million people, which is the largest food security program anywhere in the world. And that was in terms of coverage of population, but in terms of prices also, as against the economic cost of rice at around 37, 38 rupees a kg and economic cost of wheat around 28, 29 rupees a kg. Government was virtually giving at 3 rupees a kg for rice, 2 rupees a kg for wheat, and 1 rupees per kg for millets. But last 1 or 2 years, that has been stopped charging, and recently we have extended it for another 5 years. So this is the kind of unmatched, unparalleled food security program anywhere in the world. Another very important factor of this is this act covers in a life cycle based approach. It also covers initiatives for school children, initiatives of pregnant and lactating mothers, and for people of all walks of life and all ages. And over the last few years, a lot of initiatives have been taken to modernize this National Food Security Act, modernize the entire food system as a whole. Today, anybody in any part of the country, if they want a ration, they just have to give their Aadhaar numbers and authenticate themselves using a point of sales machine. And they'll just put their fingerprint there and they get ration absolutely free of cost. So the families which are Antyodaya and Yojana family, there are about 23 million families. They get 35 kg per month, and other families, they get 5 kg per person per month. So that's fantastic. So computerization of entire food chain, transportation, distribution. And in fact, if we go back right from procurement of food grains, so it's a whole system of procurement of food grains to distribution to ensuring that the people getting the right kind of benefit. So the whole system is there. So I'll stop here. I'll not dwell further on this.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Dalway, may I ask you? And I think that was very interesting to hear really from the policymakers, how to ensure food security, how to deal with the social good that I first explained, and of course there's a lot of policy making always means also handling trade-offs, right? and dealing with tough choices because usually you can't get it all at once. And I remember, Dr. Dalway, your name comes up when you think of the whole strategy of doubling farmers' incomes. So how to reconcile these things is quite an interesting topic. But first, I would like to ask you, from your perspective, what is the need for and importance for digital smart climate resilient agricultural practices in India? And how can smallholder farmers benefit from this digital smart agriculture?
Thank you very much. Now, digital public infrastructure which the Ministry of Agriculture is putting in place, it will be in consonance with the DigiStack, India Stack. And after India has had the experience of building an excellent public infrastructure in the name of Aadhaar, that was the first and the largest database India built. So these things are a baby game, literally. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be condescending, but I'm just telling you that we have that experience. All right, now DPI, how is it going to help? It is going to help basically to put in place a very strong, robust, sustainable food system. Ever since 1948, and more particularly from 1965, India has been trying to put in place an integrated food system. A lot of steps have been taken, and I would say even today we do not have a completely ecosystem-centric food system. So what do we do for that? So public infrastructure, DPI, is going to help us to address the three basic pillars of food system: the availability of food, the accessibility of food, and the affordability of food. This is the standard definition of the United Nations, WHO, FAO. The fourth pillar, which was wanting, is awareness. Now, DPI is going to create that awareness. When we talk of awareness, we need to create that awareness among all the stakeholders of the value chain. Otherwise, we'll only talk about the producers. No, producers are an important stakeholder. Consumers, because we want responsible production, responsible consumption. And we should not be forgetting that the other stakeholders of the value chain are equally important if we want efficient value chain and therefore a healthy food system. So the digital public infrastructure is now going to bring all the farmers with their minimal data onto the registry. And then second, it is going to bring the land data onto the database, or we call it a registry because it's authenticated data. A database need not be authenticated. And the third one is that it enables the data structure, architecture is such that it is an open source database. It will enable for us to superimpose number of layers relating to the factors of production and also the post-harvest management data. It could be storage, cold store, dry store, it could be price information, market intelligence. Because the value chain is not complete without a reverse flow of information from the markets to the farm gates. Then it becomes a value system. So according to me, digital public infrastructure is going to have all its clients on the database, and then we would be able to, through the software that is meant to survey the crop coverage, know the area and how is it being impacted because of the climate change, the weather, rainfall, heat, stress, and so on and so forth. And based on a robust statistical methodology where the productivity-based production output will be measured, will give us an information as to what exactly is a crop-wise, commodity-wise output. So what should be its implication on import-export duty? What should it be on storage system, pricing, and so on and so forth? So I think the digital public infrastructure for the first time is going to bring in that kind of accuracy along the value chain, right? And then from the climate change perspective, and from the theme that we have for this year, right to food for a better life and a better health. Better life and better health are the most important things we have been talking about thanks to the demographic dividend. If we do not provide an opportunity to this youth to have a better life and a better future, then obviously we're not going to meet not going to harvest advantage. And food is the starting point. So DPI is now going to help us to target every farmer, not just with financial benefits, which is going to be done through the direct benefit transfer, but more importantly about the knowledge. Because in the 21st century, where so much of challenges being faced by the farmers and across the world, it has to be knowledge-centric. It need not be input-centric. The Green Revolution, which was a response or a reaction, should I say now, it was a reaction to the challenges that India faced at that point of time, was all input-based. And input-driven agriculture has brought us to this kind of a sorry state. So it is now time for us to shift from input-based agriculture productions and agriculture-based food system to a knowledge-driven system. And that knowledge about technology, business management, entrepreneurial management, resource use efficiency, so on and so forth, that knowledge is what we need to now reach out to the farmers and other stakeholders. So to be short, put a full stop here, digital public infrastructure is going to radically transform India's agriculture. And actually it is going to leave behind the Green Revolution. I mean, without blaming Green Revolution, but for Green Revolution, India would not have been what it is. Thanks to Green Revolution, we are here, and now we have the luxury of response. We didn't have the luxury of response at that time. It was a reaction. All right, Norman Borlaug said, I can give you the seats. And we said, all right, please come. And thanks to Dr. Norman Borlaug. All right? But now we have the luxury of time, luxury of economy, okay, to think what we really need. And we are convinced that we need a knowledge-driven agriculture. So DPI, without going into that architecture, I can only tell you broadly that it's going to lay the new seed, a new foundation for a new agriculture system. Thank you.
Excellent. I see there's a lot of potential. Actually, I'm just coming myself from a panel and I was talking about AI in agriculture, and we've been missing you, I think, on this panel and the Indian perspective. But in fact, you've covered very much production and the productivity side of agriculture, climate change, and so on. All this that affects it. But can you go a little bit deeper on the nutrition side of agriculture and really how we can transform the food system into something that is providing also better nutrition, better health, and more wholesome food to the consumers?
Yeah, see, when we were writing the Doubling Farmers' Income Report, we drew inspiration from Sustainable Development Goal number 2, which talked about food and eradicating malnourishment, right? Nutrition. Therefore, in our report, if you see there, we very clearly said India may have achieved food security, but it has not achieved nutrition security. And now the articulation...
Dear friends and the farmers, the World Food Day 2024 theme, Right to Food on different cultures and natural disasters, based on the 20 right, the digital pledge to take for a better life and a better future.
For example, anemic diseases among the women. So now what we now need to do really is to change the production matrix of our agriculture. Today, of the 335 million tons, nearly 280 million tons comes just from paddy, wheat, corn, and a small quantum of nutri-cereals. Pulse, which is the source of protein for 47% of vegetarians in India, and even the balance 53% can't afford to have non-vegetarian every day. That means the cheapest and the best source of protein for us is pulses. Oil seeds, fats are also equally important. Fats is normally considered as a demon, but it's not so. We require minimum fat in any case. And all Indians are not able to afford, and therefore we have to import. We don't produce also. So what I think we should be doing now is to have a policy which is based on disincentives and incentives. We incentivize sustainable production, disincentivize use inefficient produce. Therefore, the farmers who are going to serve the nation, who are going to serve the ecology, cannot be charged economically. They have to be compensated for the good they're going to do. And therefore, our target has to be now reallocation of area for proteins, for also animal husbandry, fisheries, which have been neglected in our country to a great extent, and then focus on productivity. Because India is a nation where the area under agriculture, arable land, is as high as 86% against the global average of 72 to 73%. Whereas we have the highest population, highest livestock population, we have to bring down that area under agriculture to around 72 to 73%, so that our area under forest will grow. Today we're only at 22%. And from the climate change perspective, sustainability, we need to increase the area under the forests. The only way, therefore, is to achieve high productivity. Unfortunately, we have not been able to tap more than 50% of the technological potential that our yields, our varieties that have been released. The reason being agronomic practices are not good. So the way forward is rejig the production matrix, focus on new seeds, seed chain, and of course, water use efficiency alongside that. And then simultaneously, we have to now shift our attention from pure crops to horticulture, to livestock, dairy, and fisheries, which are the new growth potential, which show the new growth potential, okay? And then, of course, the last point I want to say is, production, yes, is only a starting point. Marketing is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. We need to strengthen our agri-logistics, storage, transportation, cold, dry, etc. We need to strengthen processing. After all, we need to have market efficiency over time, over space. So processing is extremely important. Processing generates employment also, and India is in need of employment, right? So whether it's food processing, non-food processing, we need to focus on processing. And third, create marketing efficiency. Only when these three together, agri-logistics, marketing, and processing, they three together will complete what is called a monetization. That is going to generate employment, that is going to generate incomes, and make it sustainable. So the sustainability I would like to emphasize is not only ecological sustainability. Sustainability is economic sustainability. So reconciling ecology and economy is, I think, the biggest challenge. And I'm very fond of saying this because your project, IFAD 1989, I handled one project in Odisha. His whole principle was how do you reconcile economy and ecology? For the first time I heard this terminology. And now I find this such a relevance of that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. No, and indeed, I think it's really, really, really inspiring listening to you, and it reminds me also about the importance really to you said production is just the beginning, actually. But we have to start working not only with the markets, even with the consumers, right? Like, because in the end, sometimes we look at agriculture. The farmers are important, the policymakers are important, the processors are important, but ultimately the consumer is the king of the food chain or the value chain, and the consumer's choices, our choices, make the biggest difference probably to the food systems in changing them. But I'm so happy that we also have a farmer here amongst us, Ms. Sadhana Devi. Sadhana. I'm trying. Okay. Sorry, Ms. Devi. Welcome to this panel. I hope you could follow everything. Language-wise, no problem. Okay, we have translation. Okay, very good. Okay, so but what I understand is you're leading a group of a small group of farmers who are growing millet and spices in Uttarakhand. And you have been facing issues with climate change and with wildlife, animals, and so on that have been a threat to your agricultural production. So we would like to hear from you how you have dealt with it and how you have coped and what you have done really to deal with these issues.
एक बोल आपके जो एक्सपीरियंस है ना महिलाओं को आपने ग्रुप बना के मिलेट्स कल्टीवेट कर रहे हैं अगर ये क्लाइमेट चेंज जो हो रहा है ना उससे आपको बहुत तकलीफ हो रहा है आपने मॉर्निंग भी बोल रहे थे ना जी तो क्या क्या तकलीफें हैं और कैसे आप उसको निभा रहे हैं उसके बारे में
अभी जो हम लोगों का अभी NRLM से जो ग्रुप बना है उसमें हम पिकल्स पे और मिल्ट जो हम लोगों का होता है ना जैसे कोदा झंगोरा होता है तो उसमें हम वो काम करते हैं तो उसमें हमें ये दिक्कत होती है क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से कि जो हम उत्पादन करते वो उत्पादन होता नहीं है और समय पे बारिश नहीं होती। हम लोगों का जो पहाड़ी क्षेत्र है वो वहाँ पे बारिश की जो खेतों के लिए जो पानी की आवश्यकता होती है वो सिर्फ बारिश पर ही निर्भर करते हैं। सर ट्रांसलेशन
आप बोले
अच्छा ओके हाँ तो हम जो खेतों के लिए पानी की व्यवस्था है वो सिर्फ हम बारिश पर ही निर्भर है क्योंकि हमारे पास सिंचाई की कोई सुविधा नहीं है और इसीलिए जो हम लोगों को जो खेती के लिए आवश्यकता होती है बारिश की वो समय पर ना होने की वजह से उसमें हमें खेतों को काफ़ी नुकसान होता है जिसकी वजह से जो हमारा उत्पादन होता है वो बहुत कम होता है।
Yeah, what she's saying is that they are used to cultivating millets in a mountainous ecosystem in Uttarakhand. Earlier, they had very steady rains. They knew the seasonality. So they were able to take cultivation practices. But of late, on account of climate change, there is inconsistency in the rainfall. See, that means the weather variations are increasing. So because of that, it is impacting the productivity and the total output is coming down. So this is the challenge they're facing. So इसको कैसे आप solve कर रहे हैं?
इसको हम जैसे होता है जो हमारे पास जितना भी हम खेतों से लेते हैं उस हिसाब से हम उसको सभी महिलाएँ मिलकर उसमें जितने जिसके पास अगर किसी के पास 10 किलो होता है, तो हम उसमें से 2 किलो उसमें से बचाकर चलती हैं। तो उसमें से अगर हमें किसी फूड प्रोसेसिंग के लिए हमें अगर कोई सामान चाहिए होता है, जैसे हम लोग अचार पे काम करती हैं, तो हम जो अचार बनाते हैं, किसी के पास अगर आम का सीज़न है, अगर वो भारी वर्षा से या हवा से अगर तूफ़ान से वो झड़ जाता है, तो जो हमारे पास जिसके पास जितने बचे होते हैं, उसमें से 2-2 किलो करके हम लोग स्टोर करते हैं। उसके बाद हम उसका सबका मिलकर फूड प्रोसेसिंग पे उसका अचार बनवाते हैं। इसी के साथ जो अन्य हम लोगों के लोकल में जो हम लोगों को मिलता है, तो हम उसमें भी फूड प्रोसेसिंग में उसको लेते हैं।
This is, she is following her group is following what we have been advising. Diversify livelihood options, not just food. So what they're doing is because now they're aware that they may not get the output as targeted. So first thing they do is to save at a ratio of around 20% of their produce. They save it for the rainy days. First one. Second one is anyone facing any problem, they share it with the group members. So that fraternity is there. Third one is they also depend upon raw material available in their area. It could be from the forests, it could be from the common property lands like mango, for example. Then they process it into, for example, pickles and sell. So that means they're not depend only on agriculture today. They're diversifying into non-farm activities, but linked to farming. Raw produce from farming, forests, etc. So it is actually stepping into secondary agriculture. They've stepped into secondary agriculture. So this is how they are dividing the risks and managing it. And that is because they have a group of people and they share the risks among each other and stand by one another.
इसके साथ ही जैसे बारिश समय पे नहीं होती, जो हम लोग धान बोते हैं या गेहूँ बोते हैं, तो हम समय पे नहीं बो पाते। इसके लिए मैं एफपीओ से जुड़ी हूँ, तो हमारे यहाँ पे डांडा मंडल के नाम पे कंपनी है एफपीओस, तो उसमें मैं बीओडी मेंबर भी हूँ। तो हम लोगों ने ये ट्राई किया है कि जैसे हम लोग जो गेहूँ बोते हैं, बारिश की वजह समय पे बारिश ना होना या अधिक बारिश होने की वजह से वो खराब हो जाती। तो हमने और उससे साथ में उसमें ये होता है कि जैसे जंगली जानवरों का नुकसान भी होता है। तो हमने ये ट्राई किया कि इस बार 2 सालों से हम उसमें कैमोमाइल लगा रहे हैं। तो 2 सालों से हम उसमें कैमोमाइल की खेती कर रहे हैं और कैमोमाइल में ऐसा होता है कि इसमें ना तो ज़्यादा नुकसान होता है और ना तो इसमें जानवरों का कोई खतरा होता है और ये कोई मौसम पे भी डिपेंड नहीं है क्योंकि उसमें ज़्यादा पानी की आवश्यकता नहीं होती। तो 2 साल से हम जो चीज़ें हमें खेतों से नहीं मिली उसकी बजाय हम कैमोमाइल लगा के उसका उत्पादन करके और अपनी जो आमदनी है वो उठा रहे हैं उसमें।
Yeah, so now they've diversified the production system. What they've done is, apart from wheat or rice, they've gone to turmeric. So they're also growing turmeric with improved practices. And for that, they have a farmer producers organization. So they've got some new technology. With that technology, they're able to divide the risk. And they have challenges from animals. It's a forested area. They have problems if it rains, then they're not too sure what, sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't rain. So they're basically negotiating the risks associated with production, storage, and marketing. So now that they have gone into something like turmeric, it's a high value crop. So they're likely to get better income and simultaneously take care of other requirements of the family.
Excellent. So yeah, thank you so much. I think it's an excellent
Thanks.
example. Excellent example for us to learn about all the different hedging mechanisms and risk management mechanisms that already exist. But if I asked you, how can government or how can interventions from other development partners be most useful to you? What would you expect and what would you demand for you and your group?
पूछ रहे हैं कि गवर्नमेंट से और क्या चाहते हैं या जो अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट्स है उनसे उनका जो पार्टनरशिप चाहिए आपके साथ, अगर पार्टनरशिप होगा क्या अच्छा होगा और किस तरीके की पार्टनरशिप आप चाहते हैं, क्या सपोर्ट चाहते हैं?
मैं सर हमारा जो गांव है वो राजा जी नेशनल पार्क से लगा हुआ है, तो हमें जो सबसे ज़्यादा नुकसान होता है वो जंगली जानवरों की वजह से होता है।
ओके।
तो हमारा जो भौगोलिक स्थिति है कि जैसे कई गांव में ऐसे देखा जाता है कि बहुत से घर एक साथ होते हैं, तो हमारा जो मेरा गांव है उसमें भौगोलिक स्थिति ऐसी है कि एक घर यहाँ पे है तो दूसरा घर दूसरी जगह पे है। तो ऐसी स्थिति में हम लोगों को खेती करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है क्योंकि एक अकेला परिवार तो खेती बचा नहीं सकता। और वो अगर काम खेती करता भी है तो कितना करेगा, क्योंकि जितना वो करेगा वो जानवर आके उसको नुकसान पहुंचा देंगे। तो मैं चाहती हूँ अगर गवर्नमेंट से हमें सहायता मिलती है तो चैनलिंग फेंसिंग अगर हो तो उसमें बेहतर हो। चैनलिंग फेंसिंग घेरबाड़, हाँ, तो अगर हो तो घेरबाड़ होके जो लोग अगर 1-2 परिवार साथ में हैं या अकेला कोई परिवार है तो उसके एरिया में जितने भी खेत हैं अगर वो घेरबाड़ से हो जाए तो उसमें ये हो जाए कि उन लोगों के लिए खेती करने के लिए आसानी होगी।
See, what she says is that, it's a mountainous region, so the houses are not in a cluster. They all live on the farms. So sometimes they're single, some at best two people, two families staying there. So they're always vulnerable to animals, wild animals. So one of the first requirements for her is that all the families should get a good fencing support from the government. So that fencing is what will give them a sense of security, protection. That is the minimum support she expects now.
सर एक और मैं अपनी कुछ बात कहना चाहती हूँ। हमारा जो गांव है वो आपदाग्रस्त एरिया में भी आता है। वर्ष जो 2007 में वहाँ पे एक आपदा हुई थी जिसमें एक परिवार के 4 लोग आपदा के ग्रस्त में समा गए थे। तो तब से वहाँ पे लगातार वहाँ पे जो भूधसाव हो रहा है उसकी वजह से कई घरों में हर बरसात में दरारें आती हैं। तो कुछ अगर गवर्नमेंट से इस तरह की कोई सुविधा मिलती है, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने कई बार पलायन के बारे में बात करी तो गवर्नमेंट से आज तक कोई हमें रिस्पॉन्स नहीं मिला। मेरे से जो पहले रहे जो वहाँ पे जो सीनियर सिटीजन जो भी रहे या विधायक कोई भी, तो उन लोगों के माध्यम से भी कई बार गवर्नमेंट को लेटर जा चुका है कि इस गांव को विस्थापित किया जाए, लेकिन आज तक उसका कोई हमारे पास कोई सोल्यूशन नहीं आया। लोग वहाँ पे डर के सहम के बरसात में दिनों में रहते हैं। तो अगर गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से ये हो, अगर विस्थापित नहीं होता तो कम से कम ऐसा कुछ करा जाए जिससे वो गांव में भूधसाव रुका जाए।
Their village today is on a location which is extremely vulnerable to landslides and other kinds of climate change implications. So they have been trying for a long time for rehabilitation, resettlement of the village itself, but nothing has happened. So they feel that that's not a safe place. They should all be brought together to another location where they can have a resettled village. So that's the demand. And they have been taking up through the MLA and other people, but nothing has happened. So I think it is a major decision that government has to take about resettlement. And that's the request.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So now let's contrast this with the policymakers' views. Dr. Suri. So what do you see as the main challenges of India's Food Security Act for the future, really, and the way forward? So how does NITI see it? And I'm asking the audience also to start thinking about questions that you may want to ask to all of the panelists. Yeah, please.
I think the first and the foremost, the most important challenge, which we have also highlighted by Dr. Dalwai and others. Now, India is now from a food deficit nation of 1950s, 60s. Now, today, India is a food surplus nation. Still, India is emerged. India is being. It is in fact one of the what do you call this? Even in this, we see this global hunger index. India is ranked 105 out of 127 countries. Still, India is treated as a hungry country. It's not a very that food surplus versus hunger. They're not gelling with each other actually. So I think the bigger problem is, while we have food, the problem is of nutrition, which I think Dr. Dalwai also pointed out. And a number of initiatives have been taken to improve nutrition, that promotion of millets, fortification of rice, diversification of baskets, and the latest initiative, which we have also now toying with this idea, is to set up these model fair price shops all across the country. We about 540,000 fair price shops, which actually supply this ration to length and breadth of the country. They are about 810 million beneficiaries, and if about 540,000 shops, and if these shops are allowed to sell commodities in addition to just wheat and rice, so and maybe at a price, I'm not sure if government can subsidize those additional items, but if that can be subsidized, items like milk, items like eggs, and maybe some more products, I think that will really help in the nutrition. That is first and foremost challenge. Then the National Food Security Act itself. This act was brought out in 2013, and now today we are in 2024. And at the time when this act was put in place, we had thought that over a period of time, as a level of standard of living of people will improve, we can bring down the coverage. And this was the idea at that point of time. So when we covered 75% people in rural areas and 50% people in urban areas. And today, even after 11 years down the line, the number of beneficiaries remain at 810 million. On the contrary, there is a Supreme Court case, migrant workers case, which is where Honorable Supreme Court has given this direction that there are many more people who are registered on the e-Shram portal, and about 80 million such people. They should also be provided ration cards. So that's a dichotomy. When on one side there is a need to bring down the coverage, keeping in view today's standard of living of people. So the people who were having this per capita income of about 2,000 rupees in 2013, and even if after accounting for inflation, that kind of percent of people is hardly 20-30% now. So do you still need to cover about 67% of population, or maybe 60% of today's population? So that's the one question which needs to be addressed. Then the third question is, shall we move to direct benefits transfer or maybe universal basic income instead of government actually procuring and distributing the food grains? And should we leave it to the private sector? This is one of the biggest questions which we always grapple with. But there are 140 million farmer families. If government stops procurement, so what will happen to suddenly the markets? Markets are not that efficient. It's possible that the prices may collapse, and the farmers will. And on one side we're talking about doubling the farmers' income. On the other side, even they'll not be able to realize even the basic cost of production of wheat and rice. Another related question is you announced minimum support prices for 23 crops. But government actually buys only wheat and rice, wheat and paddy. And what about the remaining crops? And there are so many farmers of tomato, potato, onion, and you see when there's a main season, the prices collapse so much, and a lot of things are being thrown at the road. So what should government do? Should government provide some alternate ways of providing some compensation to these farmers which are not able to realize the cost of their produce? And of course, the larger issue of the climate change itself, how to ensure that agriculture productivity and how do we ensure that all these do not impact climate change, and whether we can move more towards natural farming, organic farming, lesser use of fertilizers, and lesser use of chemical-based fertilizers. And today, India is one of the largest consumers of chemical-based fertilizers. And they are all the related issues. And I think we have to gradually, in fact, the National Food Security itself says it's up to 75% rural areas and up to 50%. And up to means that we should reduce. Shall we reduce? That's the biggest question before that. I think that's all which I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. And I'm really, really happy to see that all these thoughts are going around. I know it can't be easy. The way forward can't be easy in a country like India. Where you have to trade off. And at the beginning, I said there's a lot of trade-offs that come with the decision to treat food as a social commodity. And I think it's a tough business after all, a lot of these trade-offs. And then after all, also a lot of interests, I'm sure, that need to be arbitrated. And we have more than 50 states to deal with. So policy is a complex business to be in, that's for sure. I've seen you have taken the microphone in this last part of my question. Did you want to add something, Dr. Dalway? Or shall we go? Okay, I've seen you taking the microphone. I thought you had maybe an addition. So maybe I open it up to the floor for questions and for any further questions to the panelists. Okay, here I've seen on the very far left the first hand going up, and then the lady there in the back. Who can help with the microphone? I think we have a couple.
Hi, this is Deepak Parekh. So actually, my question is to Dr. Dalwai. Sir, you rightly talked about nutritional security, and if we see that in past 5 years, the pulses, which is the only way we get protein when we talk about the Indian diet, substantial number of people, 70% and more than that, they take protein through pulses. So we have seen that against the demand of, also that natural adaptive demand of 29.6 million tons, which Indians need. We have reached 27, then actually we started receding again because of the high price. This year, the demand destruction is close to 2 million metric tons of pulses. What government should do to ensure that actually we are, I'll say that pulse secured?
Yeah, see, pulses are extremely important from the health of the soil. They are nitrogen fixing in their natures. and from health of the people, and of course, risk management. Now, one of the biggest challenges in India regarding pulses, oilseeds, and millets, which are all the crop commodities recommended under the climate change condition, is that we have not had a technological breakthrough. For example, all these crops are grown in the rain-fed areas. Today, the average yield in the irrigated system of all the crops, I'm telling together, is 3.3 tons per hectare, as against 1.1 tons per hectare under the rain-fed conditions. Pulses, oilseeds, and millets are all grown in rain-fed conditions. So what we now need to do is to apply science, R&D. If required, we also need to bring in GM technology so that we are able to achieve a technological breakthrough. And next step, of course, is that, as I told you, even when technology is available, we have not been able to harvest more than 50% of the technological potential. That is because the farmers have not adopted the recommended package of practices. So next step has to be that we focus on people, the farmers. Third one is to incentivize the farmers through proper post-harvest management. Unless they get remunerative prices, there's no incentive. After all, we expect the farmer, like any other human being, to be a rational economic being. He will make an intercrop comparison. Now the average yield of paddy in India is 3.5 tons nearly now, whereas the pulses is 1.2 tons. Even with higher MSP for pulses, it can never compare with the paddy. So we have to achieve high yields, at least 2 tons per hectare. And the second one is, even if it does not make a favorable comparison with paddy and wheat thereafter, or even corn, then we need to compensate the farmer as an ecological service. So that's where I was talking about a policy which is incentive and disincentive. Disincentive against water guzzling crops. Incentive for water use efficient or resource use efficient crops. So that's the only way. We have to achieve a technological breakthrough. Since GM is an ethical issue in India still, but now we know that gene editing is the new technology available. So gene editing is not considered as a GM. In USA, there is no regulation at all for gene editing. So India has to also now come forward. For mustard release, we have taken 20 years. After it was mustard, GM mustard of Dr. Pentel, which was ready so many years back, it is coming to fruition now. In short, we need to focus on that and then also diversify the consumption plate. As the purchasing power improves in India, the expenditure on cereals will reduce. And expenditure on fruits, vegetables, meat, egg, milk will increase. So we can't be going back to 1947 and saying that I'll just buy carbohydrates. So we'll have to reduce carbohydrates, provide more of minerals, vitamins, amino acids, etc. So I think we'd require a total rejig of the policy, okay, from along the value chain, from productivity, production, post-harvest management, everything has to be changed. That's the only way forward. And everything has to be rooted in science. India has one of the best agriculture research systems in the country, in the world. But where we are lacking today is that our allocations are not commensurate with infrastructure. We are at 0.65% of the GDP, whereas we should go at least up to 1%. Then the same agriculture scientists, the same agriculture infrastructure will be able to give us better results. I think that is the urgency. Under climate change, the urgency is to focus more on research and development and innovation. Thank you.
So, Dr. Suri, we will be seeing seed bill soon then, because what Mr. Dalwai said, that is only possible if we have policy in place and we are not waiting for a seed bill for past 20 years, when that ambition of the industry would be taken care of, sir.
As I mentioned, these are tough trade-offs. I think there's like a lot to consider. In my own experience, I think it's always good to focus, as you say, Dr. Dalwai, to focus the public subsidies on the public goods. Right? Like it's we are creating as a community public value. And now it is the tough task to define what it means in a society of 1.4 billion people, right? Like maybe you don't get 1.4 different opinions, but somehow you will hear a lot of different opinions. But definitely definitely I have heard somehow consensus that there's that it makes sense to use the markets more efficiently, to work also towards sustainable, financially sustainable solutions that then are also scalable, right? Like, and I think that's something that I think the community of policymakers seems to be struggling with, and we expect good outcomes. Please, the next question.
मुझे एक बात बतानी थी कि अभी जो वातावरण में बदलाव आ रहा है और खास करके हीट के ऊपर जो एक्सट्रीम हीट होता है, तो उसकी वजह से बहनों की रोजगारी कम हो जाती है, आमदनी कम आती है, तो घर में खाने का भी प्रॉब्लम होता है। तो ऐसे समय में हम बहनों के साथ जब बात करते हैं तो बोलते हैं जब कोविड में सरकार की ओर से पीडीएस शॉप में से उनको राशन मिलता था महीने में 2 बार, एक बार फ्री में, एक बार पैसों से। तो अगर ऐसी जो पॉलिसी में हम ये कहना चाहते हैं कि अगर ऐसी कोई आफत आती है तो उस टाइम अगर महीने 2 महीने के लिए भी उनको ये सपोर्ट मिले पीडीएस शॉप में से, तो उनको जो लाचारी है, क्योंकि जो भी परिवार है उनको लाचारी क्यों करनी पड़ती है पेट भरने के लिए, खाने के लिए। तो अगर ऐसी पॉलिसी आ जाए कि ऐसी कोई भी आफत आती है तो भले महीने 2 महीने के लिए उनको ये सपोर्ट मिले तो उनकी लाचारी कम हो जाएगी। और दूसरा, हमने एक 100 माइल का अभ्यास किया था। 100 माइल के अंदर जो प्रोडक्शन होता है उसी को हम वही प्रोडक्शन को हम कंज्यूम करें उसी एरिया में, तो हमारा सप्लाई चेन भी का अंतर भी कट जाएगा और बाजार से मार्केट का अंतर भी, क्योंकि अभी हम देखते हैं कि ज़्यादातर ट्रैवल होता है, लोकल ट्रैवल में भी वातावरण बदल रहा है, उसमें ये सब भी इफेक्ट होता है। तो लोकल ही प्रोडक्शन हो, लोकल ही उसका कंज्यूम हो। तो जब हमने फार्मर को पूछा, 20 साल पहले वो हर एक प्रकार के पल्सेस उगाते थे, आज नहीं उगा रहे हैं। जो साधना बेन ने बोला कि वो जंगली जानवर का बहुत इश्यू आ रहा है, तो वहां पर भी वैसा ही है गुजरात में और बाकी स्टेट में। बहनें बोलती है कि बहन हमारे बच्चों के पेट में हम नहीं खिलाते, लेकिन ये जानवर आके खा जाता है, तो सबने बंद कर दिया। तो जो आपने बोला अशोक भाई कि इंसेंटिवाइज कैसे किया जाए, तो जो ये सीरियल्स, पल्सेस, स्पाइसेस ये सब उगाते हैं, तो उनको अगर हम इंसेंटिवाइज करें तो फार्मर को भी मोटिवेशन मिल सकता है।
Somebody can translate maybe just
तो पहले पॉइंट आपने जो कहा मैडम, उसके लिए तो सिस्टम है लगभग हर स्टेट में। मान लीजिए एक रिलीफ कोड होता है, अगर ऐसा कोई इंडिजेंट मतलब एंडेमिक पॉवर्टी या हंगर, भूख, तो उनके लिए फैसिलिटीज ऑलरेडी है, खाली वो कलेक्टर को, डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को पहुंचाना चाहिए। और सेकेंड पॉइंट आपने जो कहा, 100 किलोमीटर रेडियस में ही जो उगाते हैं, पैदा करते हैं, उसको खाना बहुत अच्छा है, क्योंकि न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट भी यही कहते हैं, नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन भी यही कहता है कि अगर आपके 100 किलोमीटर रेडियस में जो पैदावार होता है वो खाने से पहले आपका सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट बहुत रोबस्ट हो जाता है, कॉस्ट ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन कम होता है और वो हेल्थ के लिए सही होता है। मगर आजकल तो जो मोबिलिटी है, मान लीजिए मैं कर्नाटक से हूँ, यहाँ रहता हूँ, और उदाहरण तो नेचुरली मुझे जो मैं खाता था वो तो यहाँ नहीं मिल सकता है, मगर जो अपने गांव में रहते हैं, अपने 100 किलोमीटर रेडियस में जो उगाते हैं उसे खाना अच्छा है, ठीक है। और थर्ड, जो आपने ही सही कहा कि इंसेंटिवाइज करना पड़ेगा। और जब ये 2018 से सरकार का नया एमएसपी पॉलिसी आया है, उसमें पल्सेस, ऑयल सीड्स और मिलेट्स को ज़्यादा एमएसपी का उछाल हुआ है। मिनिमम 50% है, मगर पल्सेस के लिए तो ज़्यादा दिया जा रहा है। और प्रोक्योरमेंट भी थोड़ा बेहतर हुआ है, पहले तो नहीं होता था। अब 2016 से पल्सेस का लगभग 10% प्रोक्योरमेंट हो रहा है और ऑयल सीड्स का लगभग 7-8% हो रहा है। इसे हम देख रहे हैं कि पिछले 7-8 साल में ना पल्सेस का उत्पादन ज़्यादा हुआ, ऑयल सीड का उतना नहीं हुआ है जितना होना चाहिए, मगर इस साल ये जो मिशन ऑयल सीड का जो लॉन्च किया जा रहा है ना, उससे मैं मानता हूँ कि भविष्य 5 साल में ना कुछ फायदा होगा। फिर भी हमको मिनिमम 15 साल लगेगा टू बिकम सेल्फ सफिशिएंट इन ऑयल सीड। 15 साल लगेगा, तब तक हमको इंपोर्ट करता ही रहना पड़ेगा।
Okay, I'm seeing now, typically when you're at a workshop and the discussion switches to Hindi, you realize that it's really starting to get engaging and real. So I'm really happy that this happened during our short intervention. So I would, however, let's take the spirit and this energy into the next session. But I think one last intervention from the audience, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I really wanted to ask a question to साधना जी. साधना जी, आपने बताया कि जब जलवायु परिवर्तन होता है उससे परिवार की जो खाद्य सुरक्षा है उस पर काफ़ी असर पड़ता है, और जो महिलाएं हैं खास करके परिवार में और समुदाय में, क्या उनको ज़्यादा संघर्ष करना पड़ता है, या उस चीज़ को लेके जो चीज़ें आप करते हैं, जैसे आप एक समूह का हिस्सा हैं, तो वो क्या चीज़ें हैं जो आप कर रहे हैं जो सिर्फ इसलिए होता है क्योंकि महिलाओं को ज़्यादातर वो जो सारे निर्णय हैं, घर में खाना क्या बनेगा, क्या है क्या नहीं है, किसको मिलना चाहिए, वो सारे उनको लेने पड़ते हैं, और खाने को एक तरह से जुगाड़ करना पड़ता है आसपास से जब आपकी फसलें बर्बाद हो जाती हैं, तो उसके बारे में कुछ कहिएगा।
अभी जैसे अभी बताया आपने कि जो हम फसलें जो बर्बाद होती हैं, अभी तो जैसे गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से जो राशन आता है, तो उसमें जो फसलें बर्बाद हो कुछ समय के लिए वो भी आप इस्तेमाल कर लेती हैं महिलाएं। पर जब खेतों में नुकसान होता है, तो कभी ऐसा होता है कि जैसे कोई ऐसी महिलाएं होती हैं जिनका पहले का जो बचा हुआ होता है, जो पिछले साल का जो हम लोग उगा के रखते हैं स्टोर में, वो नहीं बेच पाते किसी वजह से। तो कभी हम ये कैसे करते हैं कि हम उनसे ले लेते हैं, या जिस चीज़ में या जिस क्षेत्र में, मेरे क्षेत्र में अगर कुछ जैसे टर्मिक का हो गया, तो दूसरे क्षेत्र में जैसे वो अदरक हो गया, तो हम ये करते हैं कि जैसे हमें यहाँ वो अवेलेबल नहीं होता, तो हम दूसरी जगह से उसको खरीदते हैं। जैसे दालें हो गई, मसाले हो गया, जैसे गेहूँ, धान जो भी होता है, तो जो जिस क्षेत्र में होता है वहाँ से खरीद के अपने अपने परिवार के लिए जो भरण पोषण कहलाता है वो ले लेती हैं।
Do you want me to quickly translate what you said? I think, yeah, you do. So what Sadhana said was that, oh, yes, of course. So the question was that as women, she talked about climate change impact and how crops are getting destroyed. And all of that, does it have more impact on women because they primarily run the household and they have to decide how to put food on the plate? So what does she do and what her group does? So she responded to that. I think it was a very, her title was Agri Entrepreneur. आपको Agri Entrepreneur करके introduce किया गया था. So what she said was that apart from getting the PDS, ration, and all that entitlement, they also have to find other ways of managing, which includes looking at the surrounding areas to get produces which can fill the nutritional gap that is there. So it's constantly about finding ways and means of putting all of that together. Yeah.
Excellent. I would like to really move on with the program. I'm sorry for all those that still have questions. I encourage you to contact our panelists and keep the discussions going. I would like to thank you all for your very insightful and inspiring answers. It was very, very nice to moderate this session. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ulach, and all our panelists for such an interesting session. I'm sure there would be many more questions, and we would be discussing those questions in the next couple of hours. We now move on to our next session, which is the Voices from the Field, which is a knowledge sharing session by our farmers who would be joining us online. And we also have some farmers in person. And these farmers are being represented by all the three agencies, FAO, IFAD, and WFP. But before we go into this panel session, discussion, I would like to request my colleague to kindly play a very interesting video from IFAD. And this video is from IFAD's project location in Orissa, which is supported by the government of Orissa. It is about providing safe space for parents to leave their young children as they go to work. Trained caregivers look after their kids and provide healthy and nutritious meals, leading to improved nutrition for the children and higher incomes of the family.
छुआ नहीं कि तो जाई हुए नहीं गले भी काम किसी भी करी हुए नहीं बिलर कौन काम आउ से रुआर नगौछ बिल बाछुछ आउ सपा नहीं गले तो धान हेबो नहीं ना.
For farming families like Pramila's, working in their fields brought an unanticipated challenge. In their remote corner of Orissa, a state in eastern India, Pramila and her husband are cut off from many services, including child care centers. After Pramila was ready and required to return to the farmlands she and her husband tilled, they realized there was nowhere to leave the baby. Enter the solar-powered community creches started as part of the Orissa Particularly Vulnerable Tribal Groups Empowerment and Livelihoods Improvement Program, OPILIP. OPILIP, co-financed by the UN's International Fund for Agricultural Development, or IFAD, and the government of Orissa, has set up creches in the far corners of the state so that families like Pramila's can leave their young children with trained caregivers while they go to work.
आतर सकाळे हेले 9टा बळे क्रेज को आछु क्रेज का के कोन किछि असुविधा नाही छुआ बल खेलला सब सेंदे तांगरो 9टा बळे खाया पाइन देले गोटे बळे 3टा बळे सेंदे खाया पाइन देले छुआटा मने घरे दुर्बळा थिला एठी आसी की खाई की टिके ना सबळ अछि आ समस्तर मिसुछि समस्त को चिन्हुछि सर.
The creches provide 6 services. The first is providing nutritious meals. Second, creche works teach hygiene, including hand washing to the children. They also measure and record the children's weight and height once a month and monitor their health conditions. Fifth, they offer age-appropriate education and learning activities. And finally, provide children with a safe place to rest after lunch. Also, elder siblings who would previously care for their younger siblings can now attend school.
आगरे आम गारे क्रेज रहितगारु बापा मा मो पाखरे साल बळी के छाडी की जाउथिले क्रेज रहितगारु क्रेज रे छाडी की जाउछन्ते एबे मो पाठ पढा आ मिस होनी.
In this program we have been able to consolidate all the PVT communities to make them part of the program, and they have actually felt it as their own program.
सर प्रथम तो आम देखा सर न्यूट्रिशन बोले पीढ़ी जीमा मानकर जो पिला मानकर न्यूट्रिशन अभाव रही सर जोटा कि पूरण हो पारू ना ये क्रेच हवा द्वारा सर से किंचित भी सर इम्प्रूवमेंट हो पारुची
सर मैंने मोर छुआ तो कह गले भी मोर छुआ बहुत दुर्बल थिला ये आसिक बहुत हसुची डोबुची खेलुची बहुत मजा मस्ती कर टेंशन किसी नहीं
जोटा कि तांकर काम भी सक्सेसफुल रोचे आ पिला भी सुस्थ भाव में एठी रोची ता सेति पई का बापा मां बहुत खुशी आ बहुत पिलांकर भी इंप्रूव होईची से देखोन आ क्रेज को आनी सरला पुरो तार सब कुछ खाइला और आगुरु बेंबार होतले इना बेंबार नाय अंडा छतुआ.
These creches are just one example of how IFAD works with tribal families to develop solutions that have a lasting impact, building healthier, happier rural communities.
We now move on to our next discussion, which is with the farmers. And like I mentioned, this panel will be moderated by our colleague Parvinder from WFP. Can I have you please on stage? Thank you. I would also like to invite Mr. Mohinder Singh from Haryana and Mr. Harinder Pal from Uttarakhand, please. We would also be having representatives joining us online through the online channel, and this session again will be multilingual, and our moderator will help us in translating the session.
Good evening again. And, the last panel was quite interesting because you had the connect from policy to the ground quite quickly. And this panel is all about hearing on how the lived experiences of climate change, the small farmers' own experiences of building resilience, and the journey of food security progresses. So we have communities that have come from projects from all the three agencies. And I'll take a particular order based on how the films are queued up. So I would like to start first with a film for WFP. Yeah.
Food, fundamental to life, enables individuals to access and realize all of life's opportunities. Good health, education, and livelihood all begin with the assurance of having a nutritious meal on the table. The Government of India runs one of the world's largest food safety nets as the National Food Security Act 2013, NFSA, legally entitles 2/3 of India's population to receive food grains free of cost under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana or PMGKAY. More than 500,000 outlets called fair price shops provide subsidized grain to over 800 million people across the country using Aadhaar-enabled digital infrastructure. One of the challenges that persists comes with the manual weighing and distribution. Beneficiaries must wait long hours to arrive at their turn and run the risk of receiving less quantity than entitled due to inaccuracies in measurement.
पहले बहुत घंटों तक लाइन में खड़े रहते थे, नंबर भी नहीं आता था और पीछे से कोई भी आगे आके ले लेता था राशन.
However, one such shop in Shillong, Meghalaya has another story to tell. Beneficiaries here do not have to wait in queue or depend on a manual weighing scale. Instead, they visit whenever convenient and receive their share at the press of a button. This is Annapurti, an automated grain dispensing machine, an innovative made-in-India solution designed by the World Food Programme in partnership with the Government of India.
मिसिंग से तो बहुत अच्छा लगा क्योंकि जल्दी हो जाता है पहले तो थोड़ा कमती भी आता था, थोड़ा ज़्यादा भी आता था, ऐसा होता था. अभी तो मिसिंग से पूरा 25 केजी ऐसे आता है.
जब मैं पहली बार राशन लेने आई थी तो मैंने सोचा क्या पता इस मशीन से क्या निकलेगा, हमें इतनी नॉलेज नहीं थी इस चीज़ की. तो उसमें से पहले चावल निकले और फिर गेहूँ निकले. सीधा अपना फिंगर लगाओ और राशन लो और घर जाओ बस अपने.
Annapurti has been integrated with the Government of India's Aadhaar-based biometric authentication system that allows dispensation of commodities at the touch of a finger.
क्योंकि ये सब आधार सीडेड है तो साथ ही साथ मतलब वो फिंगरप्रिंट वेरिफिकेशन के लिए, जैसे अभी सोचिए एक फैमिली में 5 लोग हैं, उनमें से कोई भी एक आया है, उसके बाद उन्होंने अपना फिंगरप्रिंट किया. फिंगरप्रिंट वेरीफाई होने के बाद जो POS मशीन है वो ऑटोमेटिकली बोल देगा कि इनको कितना चावल मिलना चाहिए, मतलब 30 kg 50 kg, तो उनको वो दिखा देगा.
Annapurti Grain ATM is intended to be open 24/7, so time is never a constraint for beneficiaries.
Everybody has a work, no? If 24 hours it will be open, then there will be no problem for anybody. So anytime they can take, that's the main thing. There will be no tensions, accuracy is correct, and there is no wastage also. That's the main benefit.
It dispenses grain at a speed of 25 to 30 kilograms in 30 seconds and has considerably reduced waiting time. Annapurti also encourages the utilization of the One Nation, One Ration Card scheme that enables migrants to access food grains from any fair price shop in the country.
भाई जैसे राशन कार्ड तो ऑनलाइन होता है, कहीं से भी मिल जाएगा. तो अब यहाँ जैसे रह रहे हैं तो यहाँ मिल जाता है, कोई दिक्कत तो होती नहीं, हर महीने मिल जाता है. इसमें लगाओ बोरी भर गई. ये अच्छा है सिस्टम. अगर देहातों में पहुँच जाएगा बहुत बढ़िया रहेगा.
वर्ल्ड फूड प्रोग्राम हमेशा लाभार्थियों के लिए काम करता है. उसकी अन्नपूर्ति मशीन जो ग्रेन ATM के नाम से हम लोग यूज कर रहे हैं, उसका उद्देश्य है कि लाभार्थियों को, उपभोक्ताओं को 100% खाद्यान्न पूरी मात्रा में मिल सके.
A lot of fair price shops also have expressed their interest to install this machine because at the end of the day it'll save them, the labor costs it'll save them time, it'll give them efficiencies.
अन्न पूर्ति मशीन का देश के कोने कोने में होना चाहिए, हमारे हिसाब से जरूरी है।
देश में हर जगह, हर कोने कोने, हर ग्रामीण गांव, वहाँ पे भी मशीनों को होना बहुत जरूरी है।
When scaled up, Annapurti aims to strengthen last-mile distribution of grains in India, ensuring food security and empowering millions of lives across the country.
So the video was self-explanatory, and as Dr. Suri was pointing out, there are many aspects to actualizing the right to food that's there, and one of the big ones is to create intuitive systems which are based on innovation, but also a lot of understanding of the context. And the Annapurti experiment that WFP did with DFPD, the Government of India, started in 2021, and I'm very happy to mention that while the film was being made, it grew exponentially, and we are at 30 locations across 5 states. And quite recently, our country director inaugurated the second 24/7 grain ATM, which essentially means that though it's wedded to an FPS, but not necessarily, it can function by itself. And the big part of it is dignity. A lot of people who go and collect ration at different hours, they feel that they're getting it in the way they want to. And also it helps you leverage the one nation, one ration card. We all remember the stories during COVID of migrant workers struggling to get their entitlements. But with something like this, it works out. So that was one really important example of how India is leading innovation. And there are many such, but in different parts of the world, but something that is building on the existing government data stack of biometric authentication, Aadhaar, and all of that is new. So after this, I think I'll just go online and connect with a young farmer. She is right now in Odisha, in Giria village, in Ganjam district. And, while she gets connected, I just want to tell you something very interesting about her. She's just finished her 12th standard and she was wanting to go to college, but the family didn't have enough money, and also she was quite outspoken for her own surrounding. So they found it safe to keep her at home. And when we met, she had just connected with a very exciting project that WFP is running with Odisha government. It's called Solar for Resilience. It's a global award-winning solution whereby the farm produce that used to go wasted is processed using solar technology, and then it's made available to various kind of outlets, and they earn an income through this. So this is so nice to see. Jasmine, आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं? Yeah, we'll find a way, no worries. आप अनम्यूट करेंगे जैस्मिन? आपको वो एक छोटा सा माइक का निशान दिख रहा होगा आपके स्क्रीन पे, उसे दबाइए। जी जी
हाँ सर बोलिए।
हाँ, थैंक यू जैस्मिन। आप, मुझे पता नहीं आप देख पा रहे हैं कि नहीं, बहुत सारे लोग आपको सुन रहे हैं, और ये यूनाइटेड नेशंस का इंडिया में जो हेडक्वार्टर है वो है, और हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपके साथ कोई है या सिर्फ आप अकेले हैं अभी?
नहीं सर, वो थोड़े काम में बिजी है ना।
जी जी, मैं बिल्कुल समझता हूँ, शाम का समय है। तो यास्मीन, मैं आपसे सिर्फ 2 सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ। जो ये सोलर फॉर रेजिलियंस प्रोजेक्ट है जो आपका, उससे आपके जीवन में क्या बदलाव आया, खासतौर पे जो आमदनी या आय की उम्मीद या जो आनी शुरू हुई है, उससे आपकी जिंदगी में क्या बदलाव आया, और आप कुछ हमें बताना चाहेंगे कि उससे क्या चीजें हैं जो गांव में शुरू हुई हैं?
हाँ सर, वो हाँ जो बदलाव तो आए हैं, क्योंकि जो घर के काम के बारे में जो खाली टाइम था ना, जो ये S4S के कंपनी जो प्रोजेक्ट में हम वो वेस्ट टाइम को यूटिलाइज करके हम जो प्रॉफिट पा रहे हैं, वो प्रॉफिट में हम तो कुछ भी फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम भी मैनेज हो रहा है, फैमिली भी मैनेज हो रहा है कुछ थोड़ी बहुत तो मैनेज हो रहा है बहुत।
जी, तो मैं अंग्रेजी में बताता हूँ, फिर मैं आपसे पूछता हूँ। थैंक यू। So basically this project makes available certain devices which WFP and a technology partner have created, whereby the excess produce vegetables for now They are cut, diced, and dried on the rooftop. And it's a model of micro entrepreneurship where there are 3 women in each household or nearby houses. They run it together. So Yasmin has, was mentioning that since it's making work available on the lean parts of the year when the crops are all standing or there's a gap between the harvest and other things, they're able to utilize that time. It takes about 3 to 4 hours of their day, not all the time. So they find a way to do this along with everything else that they're doing. And the income for now, when I met her last, from zero, essentially she wasn't making any money because she had just kind of dropped out of a college aspiration. But she gets about 15 to 20,000 rupees in one season. And, she was one of the people who was awarded an entrepreneurship recognition by the Department of Horticulture in Ganjam for having, done exceptional work in that. And she also mentioned that things are starting to improve. I mean, these things take time, but there are green shoots and there are promising start that has been made. यास्मीन, आपको कुछ पूछना है हम लोगों से? कुछ नहीं पूछना तो फिर मैं एक और सवाल पूछ लूंगा। मैं पूछ लेता हूँ, ठीक है। यास्मीन, जो आपके यहाँ पे जो महिलाएं हैं जिनसे हम मिले थे, जो काम कर रहे थे, उन लोगों ने पैसे आने से क्या ऐसा हो रहा है कि वो जो खाना खा रहे हैं, जो चीजें खरीद रहे हैं, घर में जो आ रहा है, उसमें कुछ बदलाव आया है?
हाँ सर, अगर फाइनेंशियली कंडीशन ठीक रहेगा तो हम जो खरीद नहीं पा रहे वो हम खरीदेंगे। वो खाने पीने में, कपड़ा वगैरह सब में तो चेंजेस आएगा ही।
जी, very well answered, Jasmine. So I asked her, are there any changes that have happened because there is money, disposable money coming in? And she very matter-of-factly said that when you get money, you invest in things, you buy things that you didn't earlier, and that includes food and clothing and everything else. There's a very clear example of how a climate challenge was turned into an opportunity through very low investment, but it's just like growing really fast. We started 2 years back, a year and a half back with a few units. Now is the district administration wants to scale it up across in Ganjam. So thank you, Jasmine. और आपसे मैं फिर बात करूँगा और इंतजार करने के लिए धन्यवाद. Okay, thank you.
Sir, thank you so much.
Okay, so the more difficult part really, I have 2 panelists waiting here. One of them shares my name. But I was just wondering if we go online, because I think there are, from the Northeast, there are 3 farmers or entrepreneurs or agripreneurs who are waiting. If we could take them very quickly and then maybe come back, is that okay? Yeah? So, right. Dipesh, we can connect online. बस 2 और साथियों से बात करते हैं फिर. Hi, Henry. We'll start with you.
Yeah.
Good evening, Henry, and thank you so much for joining. As you can see, we are in middle of a event to celebrate the World Food Day. And I guess World Food Day celebration for us is more a cause and commitment at a professional level, apart from personal kind of motivation. But for you, it's a very real thing. And you're a first generation entrepreneur who is working on agriculture and food technology. And I gather you also have a professional training as an engineer in food technology. So I just wanted to know, a little bit about what you're doing, the company that you founded, and also a bit about how the geographical area you're in. Meghalaya is beautiful, but there are also challenges that comes in. So how are you managing that? And is that a challenge that you're, because of climate change, because of the terrain, is that something that is posing a problem and you're finding creative solution? If you could answer on that. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, a very good evening, everyone, and happy World Food Day. It's an honor to be here today, and I want to begin my deep expressions by with the IFAD for your incredible support and your recognition you have extended to us. And yeah, as our moderator have told, I came from Serchhip district, Mizoram state, and I brought up in an agriculture farming family, and that give me dreams and directions to start my own venture after I graduate. Then when I'm the time when COVID-19 came, farming and this kind of food chain was production was collapsed, and that give me a more motivation, as well as this farmers needs to migrate to from village to city or the town, and even some business person needs to change their migrate their business, and all the as I have told that the new graduate who are able to work in the community focus on the government job. So I take this kind of advantage to jump into the agri-tech innovation to the mushroom solution, where we can provide a recycle agriculture waste to new food nutrition, to fight back this food security, as well as for the social activities like livelihood promotion and all. And my company name is Food Microlab, where we have manufacturing mycelium spawn and cultivation. We give training to the farmers, as well as motivating youth and giving consultant to the business partner. And now we have tie up with institution, and all these networks move on through the support of IFAD Focus Mizoram team.
Thank you so much, Henry. And I stand corrected. You're from Mizoram. I mentioned Meghalaya, and apologies for that. And thank you for sharing. So stay with us. There might be questions right after this. If I could move now to Brenda.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Brenda. We
Hello.
can't see you yet, but it
So
must be just because it's dark.
Oh, it's dark and we're in remote areas, so the signal
No
isn't
problems, no problems. If you would like to switch off the video also for better internet, you could do that. We can't see you, but we can hear you very well. So should I proceed with my question, Brenda?
Yes.
Okay. So just for the audience, Brenda is production and sales manager. Oh, oops.
Oh.
Brenda, are you back?
Yes, I am here.
No worries. We will not know when you drop, when we can't see you, but we will try and ask this question quickly. So, Brenda, my question is that, do you find it challenging to market products while starting an agri business from the ground? And if you could share your experience and what process you followed, because this will also be a learning for rest of us to see how market linkages are being created by agripreneurs. So over to you, Brenda. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So as a background for farming and all, so here in my village, in Siapui village, ginger production is very high. 90% of households are already involving in this ginger production and all, ginger farming and all. So as I was part of SHG, so the block mission management were organizing competition on business plan and all. So as SHG group, we were participating in that competition and then took first prize for ginger processing unit. So from February 2023, we were starting the ginger processing unit. So we were at first we were facing difficulties with buyers and all. Before this processing unit, we were facing difficulties like buyers just fixing their prices for our ginger products, since our ginger is Ting Pui variety, which is really good in pungent and all. Plus the fiber is less, so the spice level is very high, and we were facing many difficulties with buyers, like some buyers from Gauhati and all, they were giving us fixed price. Okay, so we could not sell our production at high rate, and we could not get back what we worked for. So we were thinking that by making this business plan and all, maybe we could make better future for our village and our surrounding areas. So but even after having this processing unit, we are still facing problems like transportation plus storage and all. So but still we are hoping for a better future. That's all.
Thank you, Brenda. I could clearly see you mention hope and optimism several times while you were talking. And all the best to you, Brenda, and hope someday we can have a longer conversation. And stay safe wherever you are. And I think you're walking in the middle of a journey, and hope the journey is successful for you. So on that note, I'll move to Tae Mon Lang. I think I can see her. She's well connected in her office, looking very impressive. Hi, good evening, Tem Long.
Good evening. I'm from Shillong, Meghalaya.
Wonderful. So I'll dive into a question straight away. Tell us about your project's social impact on your community. The impact your project has had on families and communities nearby, social or economic. Yeah.
It is an honor to stand before you today representing the vibrant community of farmers and entrepreneurs from Laskin Block, West Jati Hills. My name is Taimolang Chila, and I am proud to share our story, truth and progress with Lakadong turmeric, a highly prized crop grown in the heart of our region. What makes Lakadong so special? It is exceptionally high curcumin content ranging from 7 to 12%. This unique quality has garnered recognition not only locally but internationally as well. However, we quickly realized that simply knowing the value of turmeric was not enough. We needed to find a way to fully harness its potential, not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of our entire community. The realization led the formation of the Life Spices Processing Cooperative Society entity established on August 20, 2010. Since then, we partner with over 200 self-help groups and collaborate with key organizations such as the Spice Board, the Horticulture Department, the Department of Biotechnology, Northeastern Hill University, and the Meghalaya Rural Development Society under the IFAD Assisted Focused Value Chain of Lakadong Turmeric. Recently, we were fortunate to receive significant support from the Meghalaya Livelihoods and Access to Market Project, LAM, which is an IFAD-funded project, has been a true game changer for us, connecting us with technical expert government agencies and other cooperatives. With their support, we have enhanced our skill and expand our production capabilities. Today, we proudly operate cutting-edge facilities that enable us to process and test our turmeric to meet international standards, ensuring that every farmers in our cooperatives receive fair compensation for their hard work. What excites me most, however, is the tremendous impact this journey has had on women in our community. Women have always been the backbones of our farms and families. Through LAMs, we now have even greater access opportunities for growth, education, and leadership. The partnership with LAM has shown us that together we are not only building sustainable livelihoods, but also shaping a brighter future for the next generation of women farmers and leaders. Through LAM's support, we were also able to establish the Mutachibir Integrated Village Cooperative Society, IVCS, an additional pillar of strength for our village. This has enabled us to carry out various financial activities that have in turn strengthened our agriculture efforts and improve our collective well-beings. Thank
Right.
you for standing with us on a journey of empowerment and progress. Together we are providing when women are at the heart of development, communities flourish and the possibilities of for prosperity and sustainability are boundless. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. And on a very poetic ending, when women are at the heart of development, everything else follows. And they are also at the front line of fighting hunger and food insecurity. So thank you so much. And our colleagues from Mizoram and Meghalaya. And thank you, IFAD colleagues, for getting them online and briefing them so well to share their stories. A round of applause, please. And on that note, now I'll move to our panelists. तो मैं आपसे हिंदी में सवाल पूछूंगा, फिर मैं उसका तर्जुमा अंग्रेजी में करूंगा. I'll just introduce them to you. So Mohinder आप हैं जी. So Mohinder has been farming for 22 years and he grows crops like rice, sugarcane, wheat, barley, vegetable, and he also manages a small dairy and a vermicomposting unit. He's also an awarded farmer from Agriculture University, Haryana Agriculture University, and by ICAR for adopting sustainable practices, and his farming methods have been recognized at the state level. One of the key ones is this direct seeded rice and crops diversification. And he's also been an active member of farmer producer organizations. Most of you know what it is. And so मेरा आपसे एक सवाल था कि जो DSR से क्या लाभ है, जो आपने जो तकनीक इस्तेमाल की DSR की और काफ़ी बड़े पैमाने पे आप खेती कर रहे हैं, और उससे जल संरक्षण और कीट संक्रमण और श्रम का जो इस्तेमाल है वो कैसे बेहतर है जी.
तो धान किसी के DSR बोलते हैं ना. नमस्कार, मेरा नाम महेंद्र सिंह रसीना, जिला कैथल हरियाणा से हूँ. मैं प्रोग्रेसिव फार्मर नेशनल अवार्डी ICAR से फार्मर हूँ. इन्होंने मेरे को सवाल पूछा भी DSR के लिए, धान की सीधी बिजाई. उसमें ये नई टेक्नोलॉजी आई थी 2009-10 में. हमने जब अडॉप्ट की, हमारे फार्म फील्ड पे जब इसको टेक्नोलॉजी को करा गया, डेमो करा गया, साथ साथ में सभी HU यूनिवर्सिटी के थे. ऑस्ट्रेलिया का अपने इंडिया का प्रोजेक्ट चला था जब सक्सेसफुली. तो इसमें हमने इसलिए की भी, हमने एक तो किसान को लेबर की समस्या आज आने लग गई है. पडलिंग करते थे, जमीन भी खराब होती थी अपनी. इसमें जीरो टिलेज से डायरेक्ट सीडिंग राइस करते हैं. जैसे जीरो टिलेज से जो वीट वाली मशीन है, उसी में थोड़ा एक बक्सा चेंज कर दिया है राइस का. उसमें जो खाद वाला बक्सा वैसी मशीन वैसी है, वैसी चलती है खेत में. इसके दो उदाहरण है इसके. एक 72 विधि, जैसे प्लेवा करके जैसे गेहूं को वीट को बोते हैं. एक सूखा विधि, जैसे खेत में उस टाइम टेम्परेचर बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, मई जून का महीना होता है, तो सूखे में खेत तैयार कर दिया, तो उसको मशीन से चला के सीड डाल दिया और उसमें कर दिया. उसमें किसान का जो पडलिंग करते हैं, कद्दू करते हैं, तो पानी जो कद्दू करने में पानी का भरा रहता है, काफ़ी पानी वेस्ट होता है. इसमें DSR में पानी ही बचता है, कम से कम 30 से 40% पानी की बचत हो जाती है किसान की. एक टाइम बच जाता है, खर्चा बच जाता है. एक लेबर जो मजदूर है लगाने में, पडलिंग करके बाद ट्रांसप्लांटिंग करते हैं, वो बच जाती है. जैसे आज का दौर चले तो पर एकड़ के हिसाब से 4 से 5 हज़ार रुपये पर एकड़ मजदूर लेता है, तो उसमें वो बचत हो जाती है, पानी की बचत हो जाती है. एक इसमें बीमारी जो डायरेक्ट सीड राइस है, इसमें जैसे बारीक राइस है, उसमें एक बीमारी आती है बकाने रोग. उसका आज तक किसी पे साइंटिस्ट पे इलाज नहीं हुआ है. तो दूसरे नुक्ते अपनाते हैं भी, जैसे दूसरी ट्रांसप्लांटेड राइस बारीक जो बासमती चावल होता है वो लगाते हैं, उसमें बकाने रोग ट्रांसप्लांटिंग वाले बहुत से ज्यादा खेत खत्म हो जाते हैं बकाने रोग से. और इस विधि से लगाने से इस विधि में बकाने रोग नहीं आते. यील्ड बहुत अच्छी होती है. एक जब हमने डायरेक्ट सीड राइस कर दिया, तो जैसे पडलिंग वाले खेत में तो पानी खड़ा है, अचानक आजकल मई जून में जल्दी ज्यादा बरसात फ्लडिंग का रूप ले लेती है, तो उसमें तो फ्लड का रूप धारण कर लेती है, तो नुकसान किसान का हो जाता है। पानी जमीन पे ठहरता नहीं, एक खेत से टूट के दूसरे खेत में यानी फ्लड का रूप ला देता है। या डायरेक्ट साइड सीड राइट जहां भी खेत होगा, तो कितनी बरसात हो जाए उसका जो अपना मेड है, मेड से बाहर पानी नहीं जाएगा और रिचार्ज का काम करेगा। देखो, एक और पर्यावरण को भी नुकसान बच जाएगा, पानी रिचार्ज का काम करेगा, जलवायु परिवर्तन था, जो भी कुछ था पर्यावरण, वो भी नुकसान से बच जाएगा। इसके पैदावार है, क्वालिटी है, प्रोडक्शन है इसकी बहुत ज्यादा अच्छी है, क्वालिटी बड़ी अच्छी होती है। अगर दूसरा धान का रेट जो आप मार्केट में जाते हो तो उसमें 20 से 50 रुपए 100 रुपए कम डाउन जाएगा, उसका डाउन अच्छा रेट आएगा।
मैं आपसे एक और सवाल पूछ सकता हूँ, मैं फिर अंग्रेजी में इनको बताऊंगा। तो जो आपने ये जो आपको सक्सेस मिली है, जो नई तकनीक आपने की, इस्तेमाल की, उससे पैदावार बेहतर हुई और आपको कम पैसे भी लगाने पड़े, पानी भी बचा, तो जलवायु के लिए अच्छा है। लेकिन उससे जो खाद्य स्थिति है, आपके वहाँ पे जो काम करते थे, आपके गांव में जो आसपास लोगों के, उनको आपकी पद्धति से कोई फायदा हुआ?
हाँ, जैसे हमारे आसपास के, जैसे जब हमने अपने फील्ड पे फार्म पे करना शुरू कर दिया, तो लोगों ने जब डेमो देखा, पहले बार देखा, दूसरी बार देखा, विश्वास हो गया अभी अगर ये कर रहा है हम भी क्यों नहीं कर सकते। धीरे धीरे जैसे 2 फार्मर जुड़े, 4 फार्मर जुड़े, आज कम से कम भी हमारे ब्लॉक में, पुंडरी ब्लॉक पड़ता है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट में पड़ता है, कि कई गाँव तो ऐसे हो गए जो 90% ही DSR विधि से अपना धान रोपाई करते हैं।
तो मैं एक बार ट्रांसलेट कर देता हूँ। So I'll start with the second question that I asked him. He's very successful. He has a very large area under cultivation. He's got multiple awards, and the technique he uses is something that's helping him save water, reduce the time that's required for the crop, and have it more resilient. My second question to him was, how has that impacted the community around? How has he's benefited, of course, but how has it impacted the community? And he gave a very interesting example, answer to that, that because he's practicing sustainable methods, the area around his kind of farm and everywhere else, the impact of water table, the impact of how the local ecology is getting impacted, or microecology has been there, and they're also learning from them. So there is a collective change that happens when some of these new practices are rolled out at a larger level, both government's promotion and also their own practice. Apart from giving them more yields and making more food available, it's also helping them create long-term sustainability at the community level, and that's something that he's very proud of. Yeah.
मैं तो ये कहता हूँ भाई, मेरे फार्म पे जब DSR मैंने कर रखी थी, FPO की टीम वहाँ पे गई थी, कोई फोटो भी वो फील्ड देख के आई है, उन्होंने भी मौके पे मेरे फार्म पे सारा वो फसल देखी है।
So this is a call from him to the FAO team, that he's saying that you went and you clicked pictures and you have documented it. There is a story to be told. So yeah, maybe a newsletter in in some time, so we can do that. Now I'll move to Harinder Pal ji. आपसे एक बात करते हैं. So Harinder is from Pauri Garhwal, Uttarakhand. It's a mountainous state, and I think most of you know about it. Agriculture is an important activity there, but besides that, it's also very prone to climate change and disasters. And he's been, described in the bio as a progressive livestock farmer for 8 years, and he has dairy, poultry, and he's raised about 12 to 15 exotic breeds of cattle. So that's his special innovation. And but there are challenges related to climate. Milk production is low, costs are high. So he's joined Green Agri project, and he's been receiving training on livestock management, and that has helped him. Now he rears about 80 to 20 cattle regularly, and some of the stories that he has created has also been covered in media and others. And there's a breed, you could check it up later on Google, called Badri breeds, which supplies dairy products to the market and trains fellow farmers on livestock management. So मेरा आपसे ये सवाल है कि आप पहले से जो है पशुपालन करते थे और फिर आपको ट्रेनिंग मिली, तो उत्तराखंड में जो साधारण तौर पे जो किसान हैं जो लगातार बहुत पहले से पशुपालन कर रहे हैं, उनके लिए क्या क्या समस्याएं आई हैं जलवायु परिवर्तन को लेके, और जो आपको ट्रेनिंग मिली थी उससे क्या बदला और अभी आपकी क्या स्थिति और आप हमें उसके बारे में क्या बताना चाहेंगे?
सबसे पहले तो मेरा आप सभी लोगों को नमस्कार। परिचय आपने दे दिया है शायद। जैसा कि मैं उत्तराखंड के पौड़ी डिस्ट्रिक्ट से हूँ और हमारा जो क्षेत्र है वो पहाड़ी क्षेत्र है। तो मैं एक डेयरी फार्मर हूँ। तो जो हमारा पौड़ी का पौड़ी का उत्तराखंड का काफ़ी क्षेत्र पहाड़ी एरिया है। तो वहाँ आज की स्थिति में मैं अकेला अपने डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक फार्मर बचा हूँ, जिसके पास की कम से कम मेरे पास 30 पशु हैं और मैं लगभग 5 एकड़ ज़मीन में खेती और उनका चारे की व्यवस्था करता हूँ। तो मैं पूरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में अकेला फार्मर बचा हूँ जिसके पास 30 पशु हैं और मेरा 200 लीटर पर डे का उत्पादन है। मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा, आज से लगभग 30 वर्ष पहले की अगर हम बात करें तो हमारे पहाड़ में हर व्यक्ति किसान था, हर परिवार खेतीबाड़ी और पशुपालन से जुड़ा हुआ था। तो हमारे उत्तराखंड की एक पहाड़ी क्षेत्र की गाय है बद्री गाय। तो लगभग ये हर परिवार के पास कम से कम 25, 30, 40, 50 पशु हर परिवार के पास हुआ करते थे। लेकिन जलवायु परिवर्तन के कारण हमारे पहाड़ों में या जो चारागाह थे हम लोगों के या जो आसपास के जंगल थे जहाँ से गाय बकरी भेड़ वगैरह चुगा के लाते थे, तो वहाँ कुछ इस तरह की घास उगाई है कि जो पशुओं के लिए बहुत जहरीली है। जैसे एक नाम है लैंटाना। तो लैंटाना एक इसका अंग्रेजी नाम है। तो ये पशुओं के लिए काफ़ी जहरीली घास है और जिस एरिया में ये वो आती है उसके आसपास या उसके नीचे कोई दूसरी घास नहीं निकलती है और ये बहुत तेजी से फैल रही है। अभी भी फैल रही है। अब तो ये इसने पूरे के पूरे पहाड़ पूरे ढक लिए हैं। कुछ जो हमारे मैदानी इलाके से 1500-1600 मीटर की हाइट पे जो एरिया है, तो वो एरिया इसने इस वाली घास ने पूरा ढक लिया है। इसके अलावा और घासें भी हैं, लेकिन ज़्यादा नुकसान किसानों को यही घास पहुंचा रही है। तो हमारे जो किसान थे पहले जो चारागाह थे वहां से चुगा के बद्री गाय और जो भेड़ बकरी हुआ करती थी तो उनको चुगा के ले जाते थे और उन पे उस गाय पे उसका प्रोडक्शन भी कम था। लगभग पर डे का उसका 5 लीटर के आसपास दूध होता था, लेकिन उस पर किसान का कोई खर्चा नहीं होता था। तो बड़े आराम से किसान का उसका इस तरह से अपना परिवार चल जाता था। लेकिन जब से ये घास उगी है तो धीरे धीरे चारागाह कम होते गए और जो जंगल से भी अगर चुगा के लाते थे जानवरों को तो वो उनका एरिया कम हो गया। धीरे धीरे लोगों ने पशु कम करने शुरू कर दिए। फिर ये हुआ क्या कि एक आध पशु अपने घर में बांध के ही लोगों ने पशुपालन और अपना व्यवसाय किया, लेकिन उससे उनका परिवार का भरण पोषण नहीं हुआ। और इसी कारण हमारे पहाड़ों का एक पलायन का भी एक मुख्य कारण है कि हमारे पहाड़ों के किसान व्यवसाय उनका खत्म हुआ इसी कारण। और वहाँ इस पहाड़ों में खेती से अलावा खेती पशुपालन से अलावा और कोई काम आसान नहीं है। तो ऐसे में फिर भी मेरे माता पिता जो पहले करते थे बद्री गाय पे ही काम करते थे, तो उनका प्रोडक्शन कम था। मुझे भी फिर मजबूरन ये चीज़ बंद करके थोड़ा सा हाइब्रिड पशुओं पे आना पड़ा। मुझे विदेशी नस्ल की पशु गाय पालनी पड़ी और अपना तरीका मुझे बदलना पड़ा। तो आज मैं उन गायों को सीमित बाड़े में बांध के ही अपना डेयरी में उत्पादन ले रहा हूँ। जिनको हम पहले जंगल से चुगा के और उसका जो दूध बद्री गाय का जो दूध होता है उसका जो घी बनता है वो एक हमारे पुराने लोग उसको एक मेडिसिन के रूप में लेते थे। लेकिन आज हम उससे भी वो हमारे नसीब में नहीं, समझो चाहे जो भी है। ये जलवायु परिवर्तन के कारण जो हमारे पे मार पड़ी है, तो आज उत्तराखंड के जो पहाड़ी क्षेत्र के किसान हैं अब लगभग गांव के गांव खाली हो चुके हैं क्योंकि व्यवसाय नहीं बचा हुआ है। अब एक अकेला किसान मैं बचा हूँ जो आज भी उस पर प्रयास कर रहा हूँ।
जी मैं बता देता हूँ. So he's an amazing storyteller and I think the way he narrated it, I'll try and to do justice to that. He's the last farmer standing is his story essentially in a place called Pauri in Uttarakhand. And he's the only one right now who has the native Badri variety breed of cows. And he traces his experience to 30 years back when every household had that cow, and it was a big part of their nutritional intake, because the cow used to feed on the pastures and common lands which had a certain kind of grass growing. And then because of climate change, an invasive variety came in. The pastures became kind of, poisonous, as he calls them. And then people stopped keeping it. And he kept hoping that he could continue with that. And slowly everybody else stopped having that cow, but he kept trying. And only recently, and that's the change in the story, and that's how the project from FAO has helped. He started practicing in a smaller area, certain composite activities, from agriculture to growing vegetables and using farm produce to feed the cattle. And he wishes to continue, but he also feels that the way he referred to the cow and the ghee, or the pasteurized fat that comes from that milk, was very interesting. He called it medicine. He says, we are unlucky we don't have that medicine available anymore, but he intends to continue being the last farmer standing. So, yeah. Thank you. I think we're majorly over time, right? Yeah. Okay. On time? Great. I don't know how many of you have questions, but if you do, please, I'll be very happy to take a couple and get some answers. Yeah. Or any words of solidarity. That's also welcome. Okay, cool. So, yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah, we'll get your mic. Yeah.
नमस्कार जी, मैं डॉक्टर चक्रधर WFP के साथ एसोसिएटेड हूँ। मैं क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट एग्रीकल्चर स्पेशलिस्ट हूँ जी। मेरा आपसे जस्ट एक प्रश्न है। आप DSR बहुत अच्छे से कर रहे हैं और आपके मीन्स आजू बाजू भी आप उसको प्रमोट कर रहे हैं, मैं आपको उसके लिए अभिनंदन करता हूँ। और मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि DSR में वीड प्रॉब्लम, जैसा खरपतवार की प्रॉब्लम बहुत होती है, तो आप उस समस्या से कैसे निपट रहे हैं, मतलब ये जानना चाह रहा था।
जब हम शुरू में
एक बार इनसे इंग्लिश में भी, कैन यू से दैट इन इंग्लिश एज वेल फॉर द अदर्स?
Yeah, just I asked him because in DSR rice cultivation, general problem is the weed. So there's a lot of weed problem, and again you have to engage the manual labor and all those things. So just I asked him how is means addressing that issue. That's my question.
That's a question coming from an agriculturist. Yeah. Okay.
जब पहले हमने स्टार्ट किया था, जब डेमो किया था उसमें DSR में, तब उस टाइम हमारे पास यही वीड की प्रॉब्लम आई थी। और जो हमारे पास जो वैज्ञानिक साथी रहते थे फील्ड में, तो उनको भी समस्या आई थी। उसमें जैसे हम DSR करते सार प्री एमरजेंस उसमें स्टोम्प का स्प्रे करते हैं। जैसे आज 72 बिजाई में किया तो 24 घंटे के अंदर उसमें स्प्रे करना होता है। अगर पानी लगा के सूखे में बोने के बाद फिर पानी लगाते हैं तो उसमें 3 दिन के अंदर अंदर तो प्री एमरजेंस स्प्रे करना पड़ता है। तो जो वीड है स्टोम्प पैडामेथिलिन का स्टोम्प दवाई का स्प्रे करते हैं ना, तो कंट्रोल हो जाता है। जो उसके बाद जो जम जाता है, अब दवाइयाँ आ गई हैं उसमें, जब खरपतवार है 2 या 3 पत्तियां, कोई से खरपतवार हो, अब हर एक कंपनी की दवाइयाँ बायर की भी आ गई हैं, बास्प की भी, कोई सी कंपनी की अच्छी दवाई आ गई है। अगर उसको टाइम से निकाल दिया या 3 या 5 6 बड़ा पत्ता है, 3 या 4 4 5 6 इंच हो गया, फिर तो वीड रहेगा, फिर तो प्रॉब्लम आ जाएगी। अगर उसके टाइम अनुसार जब छोटा पत्ता 2 या 3 पत्ती निकल जाती है, उसी टाइम से हो जाता है, आपको वीड की कोई समस्या नहीं आएगी आज के टाइम में। तो
धन्यवाद।
So very quickly, the answer is, he says timing is critical, and the growth of the weeds has to be contained when they have 3 or 4 leaves. Though there are medicines or pesticides that can be applied, but if you are doing intervention on time, then you can manage it well. Yeah.
अजीत खुशीग्राम फाउंडेशन से। ये मेरा प्रश्न है कि जब बद्री गाय का जो घी है वो इतना वैल्यूएबल है इन टर्म्स ऑफ हेल्थ एज वेल एज पैसा भी सबसे ज्यादा मिलता है और मतलब बीमारियां आयुर्वेद में काफी इस्तेमाल होता है बीमारियों में। तो क्या सिर्फ चारा ही मेन प्रॉब्लम था या कुछ और भी प्रॉब्लम था और चारे का कुछ और ऑप्शन नहीं हो सकता है क्या? आई विल ट्रांसलेट इन इंग्लिश। Badri guy is one of the best breeds, traditional breeds. It's very good for health as well as for medicinal properties. And the price also, it fetches one of the best prices. So my question is the pasture major problem lack of feed fodder? Or is there any other problem? And isn't there any solution for the pasture or feed fodder? Thank you.
जी सर, असल में बद्री गाय जो हमारे लोग पालते थे किसान पहले, तो वो जंगल से चुग के आया करती थी। तो जंगल से चुग के आती थी तो वो 50 प्रकार की जड़ी बूटी खा के आती थी और शायद उसका कारण यही रहा होगा कि उसका जो दूध के घी बनता था वो मेडिसिन के रूप में माना जाता था। अब हालांकि अगर हम छोटे स्तर पे करते हैं तो संभव है कि हम छोटे स्तर पे करते हैं तो जंगल से कुछ जहां मिल गया वहां से काट के ले आएंगे, लेकिन बहुत बड़े स्तर से करना संभव नहीं बचा है। अगर बड़े स्तर से करना है तो पहले हमें जिस तरह की घासें हैं इनका उन्मूलन करना पड़ेगा और बांध के भी हम उसको बांध सकते हैं, लेकिन उसका नेचर नहीं है कि हम उसको एक बाड़े में रख के पाल लें। उसका जो अपना नेचर है उसका वही है कि घूम फिर के आए और अपनी मर्जी से चारा चुग के आएगी। अब उसमें जो हम बाड़े बांध के अगर पालते हैं तो न्यूट्रिशन उसका फिर भी कुछ मिलेगा, लेकिन वो चीज हमें नहीं मिल पाएगी जो जंगल से चुग के खा के आती थी।
So it's a very interesting response and a good note to answer. So sir's question was essentially, is there a way to replicate the feed in a way that it can be used again and the same quality of milk and others can be found? And he says that the reason why it was so special is because of the forests that were available. If we can't recreate the forest, it's not possible to recreate that thing. At a smaller scale, maybe you can. But so he's poetically saying that at a larger level, I think what has been lost is the reason why it's no longer the same kind of milk or same kind of nutrition that comes in. So on that note, I think, one more. Yeah, you very slowly raised your hand. So I must, yeah, please, last question for the evening. हाँ, उन्होंने उठाया था या आपने उठाया था? आज आपने इनके लिए उठाया था जी। माइक आपका ऑफ है, इसको एक बार और दबाएंगे तो वो हरा हो जाएगा।
Yeah. So I just want to add one thing which our colleague farmer is saying, that now we have seed drills which are fitted with drums. There you can put water and weedicide. So in one go we can sow the seed with the DSR. At the same time we can spray the weedicide. So there are machines. So yeah, thank you.
For the battery cows, the issue is the lantana. Lantana is an invasive shrub, and then it invades the entire sort of the landscape. Wherever people abandon the area, the lantana comes in and then takes over. And underneath of lantana, the wildlife hide underneath of the lantana, according to the people I listen to. So wild boar, sometimes the tiger, sometimes the leopard, hidden underneath of the lantana. Then what we are trying to do is in the area is to uproot the lantana where they can plant the napier grass, so that the napier grass can be fed to the battery cow. And another point that we are trying to do, we are talking to the National Dairy Development Board to develop kind of the battery cow milk value chain. It's really organic and it has should be high value, but we are not really tapping into the high value of the battery milk. So that is what we are trying to do with the NDDB together. So we will talk to you and then we will see what we can do together further. Please explain.
Yes. So उन्होंने कहा कि FAO के ये हेड हैं कंट्री डायरेक्टर हैं FAO के, तो उन्होंने कहा कि जो मोंटाना घास जो है जिसके बारे में आप बात कर रहे थे, उसको निकालने की इनकी एक परियोजना है, छोटे प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं जिसमें वो उन घासों को हटा रहे हैं। और जो जानवर उसके नीचे छुपते हैं उन घासों के नीचे, उससे भी आपको दिक्कत है, तो वो सारी चीज़ उस घास को हटाने से कम हो जाएगी। साथ साथ जुनिपर घास करके जो है वो उसको उगाने की कोशिश करेंगे ताकि वो फिर अब फीड बेटर हो जाएगी। और जो बद्री गाय का जो दूध है और जो उससे घी निकलता है उसको वो हाई वैल्यू, मतलब उसकी कीमत जो है वो ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए, और वो तभी मिलेगी जब वो सही जगह पे उसको बेचा जाएगा, तो वो उसमें भी आपकी मदद करेंगे। तो ये आपसे बाद में बातचीत करेंगे। ठीक है,
धन्यवाद सर।
So he's thanking you, and I guess you guys will connect with him later. So on that note, all the seats are full except for few, so which means that you had a wonderful evening, and thank you so much. And a big round of applause to our farmers. And I'll hand over to Pooja, and yeah.
No, we.
Should we take the picture of that? Yeah, that's what I was suggesting. So, आप लोग वापस आ जाइए एक बार, और आपके साथ और भी आए हैं। कटा जी आप भी आए। ग्रुप फोटो ले लें।
I would request all the reps also to kindly come on stage.
Come here. Come over. Yeah. We have all farmers. Farmers.
Which one is already farmers?
Mukesh, all of them.
Please come.
Thank you so much, Parvinder, for this session, and thanks a lot to all our farmers and also the farmers who have joined us online today. So as we come towards the close of this program of the World Food Day, we must definitely end it on a high note. But before I hand it over to Mr. Takayuki Hagiwara to give us the closing remarks for the evening, I would like to screen the World Food Day FAO video. Yes. I would like to stream the World Food Day FAO video because we should definitely end it on a high note. Yeah.
The suspense as well.
Dear friends and farmers, the World Food Day 2024 theme, Right to Food for a Better Life and a Better Future, remind us that IFAD has a huge mission to ensure food security for people every day, everywhere. A better life is more and more dependent on the food diversity from different resources with different origin. Promoting food diversity can improve the protection of biodiversity and cultural diversity. Today, smallholder farmers and family farmers are the backbone to producing enough food and preserving traditional food cultures. We know that around 730 million people are facing hunger due to the global challenges caused by the man-made and natural disasters, based on the 2024 Sofia report led by FAO. And more than 2.8 billion people in the world are unable to afford a healthy diet. There is no time to lose. We must take immediate action. We must act together. This World Food Day Let us renew our commitment to build a more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and a more sustainable agri-food system that respects everyone's demand for varied and healthy food. The right to food is a basic human right. Collective action can drive substantial change with global collaboration from all sectors and all partners, and especially the youth, because a food secure future is their right. They design and decide their future. The UN Summit of the Future will be determined by their actions. Science and innovation, including IT, AI, biotechnology, and digital agriculture, among others, will be decisive forces for agri-food system transformation. Together, we can honor our collective pledge to take action for people, planet, and prosperity, and the four betters: better production, better nutrition, a better environment, a better life, leaving no one behind. Our actions are our future. And our actions must ensure the right to food for a better life and a better future. Happy World Food Day 2024, and happy April birthday to you all.
I now request Mr. Takayuki Hagewara, if you're representative in India, to kindly have the closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, to join us today. The Director General FAO was standing on the terrace of FAO building. It was created for the colonization of the Ethiopia by Italian government. And then right after World War II, the building was empty. So the Italian government invited or proposed the United Nations to create an FAO in Rome. And then the building since was given to the FAO, but not given. FAO is paying $1 per year every year. So that's the origin of the building, and it's a beautiful building. If you have a chance to visit, please visit. Now, when we talk about the right for food, I always sort of remember the story my late mother used to say to me. During the World War II, she was very small, and all of the school children were evacuated to the mountain area. And there was almost no food, and they had the very difficult time to survive even in the rural area. The small kids, so they had to look for food. And then one time she found the sort of the skin of the mandarin orange, the peeled on the road. So she picked it up and she put inside the pocket. And she went back to the school sort of dormitory. And then she sneaked out, and then she started to clean, and then she started to eat the skin of the orange. And she could not forget the taste. What a wonderful taste of the skin at the time. She would never eat after that, but she still remember how tasteful it was. So the food we eat every day, we shouldn't take it for granted. Food is something, we shouldn't think that they're always with us. That the food, sometimes we do not have food, enough food. And our farmers are producing our food with their hands, with their machine, with the knowledge or with their tradition that they inherited for long. And with that we are able to feed ourselves. And then we are having the situation and the climate change in the future, and we do not know what's going to happen. And we know that it's going to affect our table in the future. And then for that, FAO and plus the IFAD, WFP are really working together with the government to make sure that the food will be delivered every single table for future as well. So I really hope that please do not take it granted. The food is always there, and that we really should appreciate every single grain of rice. My father and my mother used to say that every single grain has a life. So don't waste. So whenever we eat from the bowl of the rice, Japanese rice, we never leave behind even one single grain in the bowl. So that is sort of the appreciation that we pay to not just for the farmers, but also the food that we eat. So I just wanted to emphasize, and then I really thank the everybody today here to celebrate the World Food Day. Actually, the next year, it's 80 years of the World Food Day. So I hope that we're going to have a little bit different type of the World Food Day next year, but we definitely celebrate. And we, together with the IFAD and WFP, and also the other UN agency, I hope that we will celebrate the World Food Day next year for the 80 years old World Food Day. And then we will have the great event. Now we understand that we have a dinner, yes? So the dinner is ready, and please appreciate what we're going to have in the dinner. It is going to be provided the contribution from FAO, IFAD, and the World Food, WFP. So that's with that, and really thank you very much for joining us today, and looking forward to taking the little chat with you guys while we are having the dinner together. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hagiwara. So with that, we come to the close of this event, and we would like to request you to kindly join us for dinner at Needs Lawn. Yeah, thank you.